Hello and welcome back to Moving Up Podcast. Here is a cheeky little bonus episode this week. Of course, last week I was out in Mallorca living my best life, soaking up the sun and getting a little bit sunburnt because I am careless. But now this week, Alfie Walker, the main man himself, has flown out with his family to have a lovely time in pretty much the same town, which is kind of spooky, so he's low-key following me. I don't know how I feel about that, but I hope he's out there having a lovely time. Unfortunately, he's busy, he's relaxing, and I don't want to tie him down to doing a podcast out there. I'm just weird, and I wanted to do it by the pool, so that's on me. That's on me last week, but here we are. I've brought on a guest, someone I trust, a fellow journalist, fellow film fanatic, someone that you've heard on this show before, actually. We both went to a screening about a month and a half ago. Mr. Lewis Eyre, hello.
Hello, I appreciate your compliments there.
That's all right, no problem.
Yeah, I won't be quite Alfie Walker today, but I'll do my best.
You might be better.
You never know.
This might be the end of Moving Up as we know it, who knows? Treat this as your audition. Yeah, introduce yourself, man. So you obviously went to Bournemouth Uni as well, as did I, studied journalism. How are you finding all that?
Oh, it's a lot, isn't it? I mean, we're sort of in that very long summer break right now,
Yeah.
and I'm sort of forgetting all of the people there. Sort of in terms of like the lecturers, there's some great wild people at Bournemouth Uni. But yeah, it's a distant memory now, but it won't be soon when I go back for the final year.
Yeah, I do think those summers, because they're like nigh on 5 months long, aren't they?
It's
It's
impossibly
crazy.
long. Yeah.
It really is. I remember coming back to second year, and one of our first activities was meant to be really easy. It was like, right, you've probably forgotten how to do an interview. Go around the class and interview, your fellow course mates and get a quick story from them about their summer. And I was going up to people, I couldn't remember their names. I was like, oh God, this is terrible. That's really bad of me. And everyone remembered me, so I don't know what I'd done. But I was looking at people, I was like, I actually cannot remember your name for the life of me. Thankfully, third year I was a bit better, but yeah, start of second year was a mess.
Second year is definitely where you get to know a lot of people better. I don't know do you miss it, Adam?
I do miss uni, I've got to say. Yeah, because I'm basically freelancing now, right? I'm doing this podcast, which I adore, but yeah, it's tricky just getting by on a day-to-day basis where you're not exactly tied down to doing a 9 to 5. You've got a bit of freedom, but also you feel bad for not being as busy as other people that didn't go to uni. So it's a weird transition phase.
It's really strange. That's sort of what the summers are like, but it gives us a lot of time to watch movies, to catch up on the entertainment that we love.
Absolutely. Speaking of movies, what have you been watching recently? Has there been any bangers that we need to look out for? Anything rubbish that we need to avoid?
Oh, no, I was saying that it gives me a lot of time to watch movies, but I can't say I've been making the most of going to the cinema a lot recently. I'd say probably the last good thing, apart from what we're going to be talking about later on today, was probably Elio, which you discussed a little while ago on the show. But I went with my friend who's a massive Pixar fan. I probably wouldn't have gone otherwise. It seems like it's been trailered for about 2 or 3 years now. I think it's like the longest. It's like the Mission
Yeah.
Impossible films. Like I can't remember a time where that wasn't trailered in the cinema. But it was a lot of fun. I love seeing sci-fi back probably for the first time since Wall-E in the Pixar
Mm.
franchise. So really appreciated that. Probably a lot more. I really want to go to the cinema a bit more maybe over the next week. So probably I Know What You Did Last Summer's on the watch list, but I don't think that'll be very good. So we'll see.
Mm. Yeah, we're getting into those obscure legacy sequels now, aren't we? Where it's like,
Mm,
oh, yeah, there was a film called that. Oh, and there's another one. Okay, right, okay. You got to readjust your mindset for it. But yeah, I saw I saw the Smurfs, the new Smurfs film. You're familiar with these blue little creatures, aren't you?
Isn't James Corden in this one?
He is, yeah.
Oh,
And he has a musical number that is somehow better than Rihanna's, who, by the way, is
oh.
Smurfette, if you've somehow missed that.
And Nick Offerman, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's all right in it. He gets away scot-free. I do like Nick Offerman. Yeah, oh god, it's a really wild cast. Rylan from This Morning?
Yeah.
He plays Vanity Smurf.
No way.
Yeah.
You've sort of enticed me
It's
to
so
watch it.
Yeah, do you know what? It's not a bad elevator pitch, is it? Rylan is Vanity Smurf. Like that's kind of on the same level for me as Rihanna is Smurfette, but I guess it's not got the global appeal, has it?
I would have put
Um,
that on the poster.
yeah, yeah. But we know what we're doing, I think, whereas the Smurfs marketing department maybe don't.
I think the only thing I know about the Smurfs movies, I haven't watched any of them, and I think there's quite a few now, they used to do like Happy Meals and stuff, I think, and my
Mm.
nan used to collect the Happy Meal of the Smurfs. I don't think
Yeah.
I've ever seen anything more than that.
Oh, wow, you are lucky. I'll say that they try and revitalize this franchise every, I'd say, 6 to 8 years,
Mm.
as if there's a real demand for it, and I just don't think there is. Who out there is demanding Smurfs content? There was one that they did in 2018, which I think was already a reboot because it was animated, and that was okay. I think it was Smurfs: The Lost Village. I remember watching that in lockdown on Netflix, and I actually thought it was all right. The two live action ones with Neil Patrick Harris in the early 2010s, they are exactly what you think they're going to be. I watched the first one at least, and like your, was it mum or nan, collected the Mackey's toys. But I don't know why they keep revisiting this. It's really bizarre. They should do Tintin. If they really want to adapt a Belgian comic book that much, give us a Tintin franchise.
Oh, I'd love that. They tried, didn't they? And then there just never was a second film. We never heard from it again.
Someone mentioned to me the other day that the reason might be to do with copyright
Ah.
or something, but I don't know. I don't know. I've not looked into that, but I don't know. Some excuse out there. But now let's shift our focus to what we're going to review today. It's a big film, so I wanted to get out a review that's timely, and I knew I also couldn't do this alone, so hence I brought you on. We're going to be talking about James Gunn's Superman.
Yes. Interesting stuff.
It is, yeah. Are you a fan of James Gunn?
I'm a big fan of James Gunn. You know, when the trailers came out for this film, I thought it sort of looked a bit earnest, a bit up itself, to be honest.
Mm.
But I loved Guardians of the Galaxy. Suicide Squad was great. Peacemaker was great. You know, I don't think he's missed yet in his superhero fairing. Apart from, did he do Green Lantern? I think he might have done Green Lantern. I may be wrong on that. He did something which is meant to be
Mm.
quite bad. But overall, he's been wonderful. He adds sort of a quirk, those weird quirks to the superhero genre, and just makes it really fun to watch. And of course, very musical as well. So, I love his film so far. But I wasn't sure what to think about Superman going in.
Mm. For me, I think with my perception of Superman, I grew up sort of dressing up as him and going to, family barbecues in a Superman costume, and everyone would be like, "Why are you wearing that?" And I'd be like, "Why not?" So I was one of those kids growing up. It was Superman or Spider-Man for me. But I must admit, I loved the Lego Batman games growing up. So I was a big DC fan as a child. But then when the MCU just absolutely stomped all over DC, my attention fully shifted to that, and I kind of left DC behind, much like the industry did, really. I've only saw Man of Steel actually for the first time this week. Thought it was all right. It's okay. It's a bit grungy.
Mm.
It's not really to my taste, to be honest. And then obviously there's the mess of like was it Joss Whedon that did the first Justice League film, and that was notoriously terrible. So it's a real mixed bag, isn't it?
Honestly, the Justice League extended cut as well. I didn't like that at all. The Snyder cut. I thought
Mm.
that was really boring and just overly long. And anything that they did afterwards, kind of just a mess. I heard the second Shazam film was good, but I sort of gave up by that point.
Yeah, yeah. I saw Blue Beetle. That's a real hangover of that era, isn't it? Yeah, that was tacky.
I forgot that happened.
I wish I could. I wish I could. So, yeah, I've seen Superman now twice, and I was really pleasantly surprised. I think it's one of the most hopeful and joyful superhero films they've done in ages. And yeah, it's a bit cheesy. Some of the dialogue is very Saturday morning cartoon, but I think it really works for a character like Superman. And actually, this is what we should have had really back in the early 2010s. I think if this had come out then, people would have really loved it. This would have properly slotted in with the golden era of superhero films. But the fact that it's come slightly almost too late, I hope that doesn't harm it too much.
I think they were so obsessed with following up on the success of like The Dark Knight, where it was really dark and gritty, and they were just obsessed with doing that. They sort of forgot that you could make superhero films quite fun, quite campy, a little bit naff, quite colourful. But this
Mm.
one just flies along, doesn't it? I mean, it was 2 hours and 15 minutes, but you didn't feel that runtime at all. It just completely took you in. You cared about the characters, you cared about the stakes that were going on. Honestly, a real surprise for me as someone who wasn't looking forward to this film at all, was thinking we don't need another Superman film. This was probably the best Superman has been since at least the 1970s, since Superman 2.
Mm. Yeah, I agree. I've got to say, I think as well, it comes out at a difficult point in the year because obviously it's big summer blockbuster season. We had F1, we had Mission Impossible, we've had Jurassic World Rebirth. I think actually, and this is totally surprising because it was the one I was least looking forward to. I just didn't have that much attachment to the character, in the last 10 years. I think it's the best one so far. I think F1's maybe a bit more well-rounded, and I think although I gave a good review to Mission Impossible at the time, as I've got a bit of distance between it now, I can see, the pacing in that first hour is really grueling to get through. So I do think that Superman is actually the most fun I've had in the cinema possibly this year, from memory at least.
I wasn't sure because there were some kids sort of opposite us in the cinema and sort of along the row, and I sort of saw their attention dwindle quite a lot, and they were sort of wandering around. I think they were running around the cinema, causing quite a lot of disturbance. And that happened just after they started talking about politics. And it
Right.
was obviously that was really important to the plot, and it was actually really impactful. But when Clark and Lois are talking about the politics of the situation, that was just a point where the family audience that were there, I think that probably came too early in the film because probably they were looking for sort of quite a big bombastic start to the film. And instead, we have this long, sort of 10-minute conversation between two characters about something that's going to be a bit too dense for probably audiences coming to a summer blockbuster to understand. So I think that was probably one of the only misfires I had was sort of the initial pacing, but over time it worked through that, and it was obviously very important.
Yeah, I agree actually. I think I did. I was like those kids the first time I saw it, where they're using also the names of these countries are quite wordy. Like it's what is it, Yarhanpur? Like that doesn't that's not obviously it's a fictional country. So you've got two fictional countries out the gate, along with loads of obscure MCU characters in there, like Mister Terrific. You've got Guy Gardner, who isn't the most recognizable Green Lantern.
Mm.
You've got Hawk Girl. All these sort of C tier DC characters thrown into the mix. You've obviously got Superman, but it's a new backstory, new characters, new designs for things. You've got Lex Luthor, who is finally done right by Nicholas Hoult. I think he's excellent in this. But as you say, it's a bit more of a slower start to the film. Nowhere near as bad as Mission Impossible, but I kind of appreciate it because it does ground the film in a bit of sensibleness, really, because I know James Gunn can get quite carried away and he is very goofy and he gets the nerdy stuff right. But I think it was nice, though, that he did sort of set this base of this stuff is important, here's why, here's the real human conversations. And then later on, you get to the more classic superhero wild CGI stuff.
Well, if you look at the Suicide Squad, there's none of that, is there? It's just very much
Well, yeah.
wacky action all the way through, and it starts with
Yeah.
practically all of the characters being killed off. And it's such a like wild start that you sort of expect that maybe the James Gunn films are going to do the same. I mean, we have quite a quirky beginning here. We have those cool robot things in the
Mm.
number four or Gary or whatever we call them. But no, that was really fun. But yeah, over time that didn't really matter. The interesting thing was that kid who was wandering around the cinema then seemed his attention seemed to come back, except for whenever Lois Lane was on the screen. At which point he seemed to be like afraid of Lois Lane for some reason. I'm not sure what was going on there, but he would just sort of tense up, which is very strange. But I had a wonderful time. David Corenswet is am I pronouncing that right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah, he was great. He didn't play it too seriously, but he just knocked it out of the park. And I love that he spent probably the first 20 minutes just being beaten up constantly. Like he was just made a complete fool of, rather than being this like po-faced, sort of hands at his hips hero.
Mm.
He just his vulnerabilities were on show, both human and Krypton.
Yes, yeah, I loved him. I think this is absolutely my favourite Superman to date. He's just got that perfect mix of being cool in certain scenes in the action scenes, like he's capable, but also he's only been Superman for 3 years, right? So he's got stuff to learn and he's got that goofiness. He really feels like someone that grew up in Kansas, in Smallville, wed those two characters as his parents, who, by the way, I love the decision to cast them as people who aren't typically quote unquote Hollywood. Like they look like normal people, they talk like people we all know, that don't really know how to use their phones but just love their children or grandchildren to bits. And I think he's a brilliant case for being good and just having a really strong moral compass. And I think a lot of people have, I don't know if it's giving the film more credit than it deserves. I think it kind of does deserve it, but people have said this is a perfect case against toxic masculinity. And I don't know if this film is serious enough to bring up that discussion. But the fact that it has is still a good thing, and I think that's a nice byproduct that maybe it was intentional. I don't know, but there's certainly a lot of edits on TikTok by impassioned fans that are really like, this is my Superman. Look, when I get up in the morning, I look at myself in the mirror, I'm like, I'm going to save a cat, I'm going to save squirrels and things like that. I'm like, you know what? If it's inspired people to be wholesome, then that can only be a good thing.
When a film like this, sort of what could easily be a shallow blockbuster, can incite those conversations is always great, because that's something that's usually reserved for quote unquote more important films. But as a sort of debut for this cinematic universe, it was quite nice seeing a Superman that you didn't have to see all that backstory. It was a bit like what they did with Spider-Man, really, where you just go straight in. You don't have all the elements of it are so, you know who Lex Luthor is, you know what Kryptonite is, you know the Daily Planet and all the staff. Like, you don't need to spend ages establishing it, fleshing it all out. You can just go with it, have faith in the audience to sort of piece some stuff together, and then just have fun with the actual plot. And honestly, the plot here surprisingly really hit quite a chord, I think. It was really, really impactful.
It does take moments between the chaos to slow down and
Mm.
have really great moments for the audience to connect to characters. And I think the charisma of all the cast members and the chemistry that they share is kind of top tier, to be honest. I really believed in Clark Kent and Lois Lane's relationship. I thought the relationship between Clark Kent and his dad was really touching. You know, because there was a bit of comedy in there as well. Like, you had Mark Kent just calling him a big old mush and things like that. But actually, it really celebrated that men don't really talk to people, and they don't talk to the folks that they love enough. But I thought that moment where Paul Kent sits down with Clark Kent and just has a heart to heart that's simple, but you know that both characters are getting exactly what they need out of that interaction, and they clearly haven't seen each other for a little while. And it made me tear up, I've got to say,
Mm.
and I wasn't expecting to, because it sort of is just a very small chunk of a film that's otherwise quite, very funny and very silly, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, yeah. Remember, this is James Gunn who did that fantastic Guardians 3 with Rocket Raccoon and all his friends being tortured. Like, he can really pack a punch when he wants to.
He just has that formula right, where you can just have those really emotional moments. We saw it with Star-Lord, in each of the films, sort of where his arcs went in Guardians of the Galaxy, and a lot in Peacemaker as well. There's some surprisingly emotional, sort of subtle moments, but he can just make it fun. Those moments hit you, they take you by surprise. They really do. So more of that, please, I suppose, from James Gunn. It may grow tired pretty quickly if all the films are along the same line. But at the
Mm.
moment, it's a real fresh take when Marvel is doing these films that nobody's really caring about, and DC elsewhere has been doing loads of films that nobody else has been caring about. So to have something like this, which just hits all of the boxes on the proverbial tick list, is just great.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely excited to see what comes next in the DCU. I know they're doing Peacemaker Season 2 later this year, or even, is it later this month? It's very soon anyway. Yeah, as you say, I do worry how much range James Gunn has. So obviously he's going to be, lending these projects out to other directors, which is a good thing. I do just hope that because he's at the head of DC, with Peter Safran though, but I do just worry that he might then give these films a formula. I think though, by looking at the MCU, he knows he shouldn't do that. So I'd like to hope that he's got the benefit of hindsight, but we'll see, because all of James Gunn's superhero films have been kind of the same, but it isn't necessarily a bad thing right now. But as you say, he does need to diversify, hopefully, a little bit in the future. But for now, this is absolutely what I think audiences wanted and needed.
So often the MCU films come out and you think, and I'm thinking the same with Fantastic Four at the moment, where you think this is going to be really cool. This looks different. It's going to be
Mm.
exciting. But then you get to it, and maybe it starts out that way, but then by the end of it, it's exactly the same film you've watched before. I found that was the case with the Thunderbolts. However much I enjoyed it, I felt like as it went along, it drifted into the same sort of film we've seen so many times before. So I'm hoping, like you say, James Gunn will realize that each film should be a little bit different. Each Each superhero has very different expectations. I mean, Supergirl could easily be exactly the same film as Superman. We've got Crypto, the dog, still in it, which is a genius move because obviously he's really selling the film to a lot of animal
Yeah.
lovers. So great to have him back in another film. But Supergirl's presumably going to be a bit messier, going to be a bit more chaotic, probably going to lean even more into the comedy elements, which could be quite goofy. We'll see how that goes. And that's probably the one I'm most worried about because if you look at Swamp Thing or I can't think what else they're doing. I think they might be doing a Green Lantern Corps film eventually. The sort of
Mm.
other films that they're rumored to be doing a few more obscure heroes as well. You can sort of see that maybe they're less established, they can work well. When it comes to Supergirl, I'll be on the edge of my seat to see whether that works.
Yeah, same here. It comes out next year, doesn't it? Is it June, I want to say? June 2026. So pretty quick turnaround, to be fair. But I think, yeah, now he's started. He's hit the ground running with Superman, with Peacemaker. He's got to keep that ball rolling, I suppose. What sort of films would you like to see next? I know they're doing Batman Brave and the Bold. You know, casting rumours for that are all up in the air, a bit like James Bond, actually, at the moment. Would you like to see Robert Pattinson's character be folded in? Would you like to see that version of Batman, or do you think they should keep that separate? How connected would you want those two things to be?
I wouldn't mind if they made it into the same universe because it makes things a lot less messy. I think at one point, I not necessarily the case, but at one point we had like five active versions of the DCU at the same time. And it was just a
Yeah.
complete headache to keep up with everything. So if we sort of tie some of that up, just say, oh, some of the other stuff was alternate universes or whatever, that will be fine. I'm okay with that. Whether it will work having our Pats in the same universe as Corenswet,
Mm.
I don't know because they're just so different, and I just don't know whether those will collide if we eventually have crossover films, which inevitably will come out. But I'm fine with that. I'd rather though that if they're going to make a new Batman film, they don't because just explore some of the wilder, weirder characters from the DC catalog because there's enough of them, and that formula of playing with characters that we practically hadn't heard of before the films works so well for Gunn with Guardians of the Galaxy, and he made them into some of Marvel's most popular characters. So hopefully new people can come along and really sell these characters. I mean, we had the same with Ant-Man in the MCU, and we can have some new heroes that can join the ranks of Superman and Wonder Woman and all the characters that will inevitably appear, rather than just doing those stories all over again.
Yeah, absolutely agree. I mean, even Iron Man, he started out as a lesser known character, didn't he? And look at him now. He's Robert Downey Jr.'s returning as, oh my God, what's his name? Not Yeah, Doctor Doom. Yeah.
Dr. Von Doom.
So Dr. Victor Von Doom. They've all got such silly names, haven't they? I don't think we don't think we have a go at comic books enough for that. Like Peter Parker, and they're all alliteration and stuff. Lois Lane,
Can you do a Robert Downey
Lex
Jr.
Luthor.
impression?
Can I? Oh, I don't really think so. I'm afraid
Oh.
he's quite quippy, isn't it? It's like, okay, so Friday. No, I can't. I'm just gonna part that there. No, I can't.
Good shot. Good attempt.
Can you?
No. I rely on you for the impressions.
Oh damn. Yeah, misplaced trust there, my friend.
But yeah, I'm interested to see where the DC universe goes next. A good start. I'm sure we'll see everyone that's in this film again about a million times in the next 10 years, but I don't know. I'm hoping that my optimism that I've regained from this film will continue and continue for quite a while. And maybe if they're careful enough, DC can take the throne back as sort of the worthy champions against Marvel in the superhero contest. Yeah, so I was wondering what summer blockbusters you're interested by, and I was looking it up because I thought to myself that there aren't really many that I'm really hyped for, that I'm really buzzing about. But I saw a few. I mean, there's the Thursday Murder Club film. I'm quite intrigued by that. I have read all of the books, so interested to see how they'll pull that off, and it has a spectacular cast. There's a horror film called Weapons, which is coming out soon, and I think
Yeah.
that looks good. It's by the same people who did Barbarian, which is a great film for half of it. So I'm looking forward to another film that's great for half of it as well. What are you hyped for?
I mean, we mentioned it earlier, but Fantastic Four. I am a big Fantastic Four fan. They were some of my favorite characters growing up. So I think they've got the casting pretty much. That's to a T in my opinion. All the trailers have looked great. I do now think they're showing too much of the film, which MCU tends to do. I mean, to be honest, I was worried about the same problem with Superman, but actually, having seen it, I think it held back a lot of surprises and a lot of the plot, to be honest. So yeah, I do have my reservations about Fantastic Four. I'm sort of so hyped about it. I think I'm only going to be disappointed. So I'm now, I've got a week now to try and manage those expectations and just make sure I don't get carried away with myself and I don't ruin it. So yeah, that's approaching imminently. So I'm excited for that.
What do you think the post-credit scenes are in the Fantastic Four? I'm intrigued.
Ooh, that's a good shout. It makes sense to have Doctor Doom, doesn't it?
Mm.
But then also, do they want to reveal? Because that is the next film, isn't it? Actually, so yeah, that would make sense. But maybe some stuff with the new Avengers, like the Thunderbolts. I do really love that team. Like you, I was mildly disappointed by it. Like I think it had real promise, and it just slightly sort of wilted at the end. But yeah, it's interesting. I feel like I don't really know where the MCU is, where it's going to go, particularly with Doomsday. I've sort of deliberately stepped away from looking at these spoilers, and thankfully there's not been many set photos of this Doomsday film yet. So I'm glad that I'm kind of going in more blind than I was to other recent MCU projects. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. What would you like to see from those post-credit scenes?
I've sort of got to the point where these post-credit scenes are quite tedious, and I do stay for
Yeah.
them always, but it's usually just because you have to at this point rather than actually being interested.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing we're gonna get Doctor Doom. May it's just gonna be there's gonna be a funny one, which will probably be the right at the end, with the
Mm.
Fantastic Four doing something wacky, and then we'll have I don't know Doctor Doom terrorizing maybe the Thunderbolts and the Fantastic Four because the Thunderbolts saw the Fantastic Four ship at the end of the post-credit scene for the Thunderbolts. So I said the Thunderbolts quite a lot. I need to stop.
Take a shot every time you mention it in this podcast. The Naked Gun is one I want to give a shout out to. I'm a big Leslie Nielsen fan, so I like Airplane and the old two, the other two Naked Gun films are like so up my street. It's just the exact stupid humor that really cracks me up. I think it could be really cringy, but I have faith in Liam Neeson. He's a great comedic police officer, as we saw in the Lego movies. So I'd like to see him really excel in that film. But it's always difficult, isn't it?
I love the Naked Gun like you. It's brilliant. The sight gags are just second to none, and it always
Yeah.
has me in stitches. This new one, though, really worries me because I think it was so of its time. Of course, Police Squad as well,
Mm,
and it just worked so well back in the day. Looking at this, it just looks like they're trying too hard to be funny. And when you're trying too hard to be funny, it
yeah.
just doesn't pay off. So this could really, I think this is going to be one of the biggest misses of the summer.
I hope not. I hope not.
I'm on the fence as to whether to watch it yet. I haven't decided
Oh,
because
really?
I think it's just going to annoy me too much. And we'll
Mm.
see. We'll find out. There might be a hype around it.
There's nothing worse than a film that just feels desperate, is there?
Are you a Spinal Tap fan? Because they've got a sequel to that coming out as well.
I'm not, but no, tell me about it.
Okay, I'm not a Spinal Tap fan either, but it's my mum's favorite film. So once you forced me to watch it, and I probably found about three things in it funny. It might be worth a rewatch,
Oh,
but they're doing a sequel. It's sort of along the similar lines of them doing a Naked Gun thing because it was like 40 years ago. It's called The End Continues, which is the title's probably going to be the best thing about it. But it will probably be quite funny because it's going to be about quite sort of rubbish aging rock stars, and it could potentially
yeah.
be a big success, especially with people who watch the original. I just don't know. They haven't released a trailer for it, and it's coming out in about a month, so I don't know whether they
Oh,
really have any faith in it because that's completely unheard of. So we'll see.
the other one I just want to bring up as well is The Materialists. I've seen that early reactions have been quite split on it, but it's the new film from Celine Song, who brought us Past Lives a couple of years ago. A film that I thought was superbly written. This one looks a bit more mainstream. It's got Dakota Johnson, Pedro Pascal, and Chris Evans as well. So pretty grand trio front and centre. But I'm very interested in that one. I think it looks like a lot of fun. The trailer's quite cheeky. Yeah, I do just worry that Dakota Johnson and her 50 Shades of Grey connotations might seep into a film like this. Who knows?
Or the Madam Web connotations, perhaps.
Oh, goodness me, yeah.
Which is
I
worse.
also think that people are getting Pedro Pascal burnout as well, aren't they? Not myself personally. I think he's still charming as heck, but yeah, I've seen a lot of comments being like, "Oh, guess what? Pedro Pascal's now been cast as James Bond and just taking the piss." But yeah, bless him.
He is our new Batman.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised. Thank you for listening to this bonus episode of Moving Up. A great little review there of Superman. Go and see it. It's in cinemas now. Of course, Fantastic Four just a week away. We're actually going to take a break next week. Alfie will still be on holiday, but we'll be back with episode 75. It's a big one with reviews of Fantastic Four and The Naked Gun, I think, potentially. So lots to look forward to there. Do stay tuned. You can get in touch with the show by going to our socials. Our Instagram and TikTok is both at Moving Up. You can also email in. Let us know what you thought of Superman. Let us know what you thought of other summer blockbusters and what you're still looking forward to this year. I know Wicked for Good is a huge one on people's lists. That's November, of course. The Naked Gun, Fantastic Four, all coming up as well. You can get in touch. Just email hello@movingup.com. All that's left to say is thank you very much, Lewis, for joining me.
Thank you, Adam.
Always a pleasure. Never a chore.
Aww.
Do you want to leave us with I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you want to leave us with a film quote of your choosing?
A film quote. Oh, no, you didn't. Oh, no. I don't know. You really put me on the spot. I've been watching Twin Peaks lately, and loads of Twin Peaks quotes have been going in my mind. And I'm trying to think of if there's anything from that. Can I say there's a fish in the percolator?
You can. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to say that.
We'll take that as your inspiration for this week, guys. There's a fish in the percolator.